Welcome to Luck Scout Bedtime Stories. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the garden path. The golden light bathed everything in a warm, ethereal glow, making the flowers appear almost otherworldly. The sky blazed with orange, pink and purple hues, a breathtaking canvas painted by the setting sun. Each colour seemed to blend seamlessly into the next, creating a mesmerizing gradient that held the promise of night. This was the start of twilight, a magical time in the Twilight Garden. As the day transitioned into night, the garden transformed into a realm of enchantment, where every leaf and petal seemed to come alive with a soft inner light. Flowers, kissed by the last rays of sun, glowed softly. Their vibrant colours, which had dazzled in the daylight, now took on a more subdued yet equally captivating hue. It was as if the garden itself was preparing for a gentle slumber. Their petals, moments ago a riot of colour, softened to pastel shades. The transformation was subtle yet profound, a reminder of the ever-changing beauty of nature. Each petal seemed to tell a story of the day's journey, now coming to a peaceful end. A gentle breeze whispered through the garden, carrying the sweet scent of honeysuckle and night-blooming jasmine. The air was filled with a delicate fragrance that seemed to wrap around you, inviting you to linger and breathe deeply. The air hummed with the quiet industry of unseen creatures. Crickets began their nightly symphony, and the soft rustle of leaves hinted at the presence of small, nocturnal animals beginning their evening routines. Fireflies blinked into existence, their tiny lights like fallen stars come to dance among the blossoms. They moved gracefully, their bioluminescent glow adding a touch of magic to the already enchanting scene. The Twilight Garden was awakening. As the last light of day faded, the garden seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, embracing the cool, tranquil night. It was a time of renewal and quiet wonder, where the beauty of the natural world was on full display, inviting all who entered to pause, reflect and find peace in its serene embrace.
Rosie, a small rabbit with fur the color of dandelion fluff, hopped nervously at the edge of the garden. Her tiny heart pounded in her chest as she looked around, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. The garden was vast, filled with vibrant flowers and towering trees. But Rosie felt small and out of place. She had never ventured this far from home before, and the journey had been long and arduous. She had traveled far, her heart heavy with worry. The path behind her was filled with memories of her family and friends, but she knew she couldn't turn back now. The weight of her decision pressed down on her, but she pressed on, driven by a hope that she couldn't quite explain. The world outside her familiar burrow was vast and intimidating, but Rosie was determined to find what she was looking for. The forest had felt dark and lonely. The trees loomed overhead, their branches casting eerie shadows on the ground. Every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs made her jump, her ears twitching in fear. She had heard stories of the dangers that lurked in the forest, but she had no choice but to continue. The darkness seemed to close in around her, but Rosie kept moving, her eyes fixed on the faint light ahead. She had heard whispers of the Twilight Garden, a place of peace and beauty. It was said to be a sanctuary, a place where all creatures could find solace and rest. The stories spoke of its enchanting beauty, with flowers that glowed in the twilight and streams that sang gentle lullabies. Rosie had clung to these stories during her journey, hoping that the Twilight Garden was real and that she would find it. Legend told of a kind spirit, Aurora, who watched over the garden. Aurora was said to be a gentle guardian, a protector of all who sought refuge in the Twilight Garden. The tales described her as a radiant being, with a presence that brought comfort and peace to all who met her. Rosie had often dreamed of meeting Aurora, hoping that the spirit would help her find the peace she so desperately sought. Rosie, seeking solace, hoped the stories were true. She had faced many challenges on her journey, and the thought of finding a place of rest kept her going. The idea of a sanctuary where she could finally feel safe and at peace was a beacon of hope in the darkness. Rosie knew that she had to keep moving forward, no matter how difficult the path ahead might be. Taking a shaky breath, Rosie hopped onto the path. The stones beneath her paws were cool and smooth, a stark contrast to the rough terrain she had traversed. She hesitated for a moment, her heart racing, but then she took another step. Each movement was a small victory, a testament to her courage and determination. Rosie knew that she was on the right path, and she felt a glimmer of hope in her heart. It was paved with smooth stones that gleamed faintly in the fading light. The path seemed to glow with a soft, welcoming light, guiding her forward. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the gentle hum of nature surrounded her. Rosie felt a sense of calm wash over her, as if the garden itself was welcoming her. She took a deep breath, feeling the tension in her body begin to ease. Each step forward seemed to lighten her heart. The worries and fears that had weighed her down began to lift, replaced by a sense of hope and anticipation. Rosie felt a newfound strength within her, a determination to reach the heart of the Twilight Garden. She knew that her journey was far from over, but with each step, she felt more confident that she would find the peace and solace she was searching for. The path ahead was still uncertain, but Rosie was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that she was not alone.
A deep voice startled Rosie. She had been wandering through the garden, lost in her thoughts, when the voice broke the silence. "Welcome, little one. What brings you to the Twilight Garden?" The voice was deep and resonant, echoing through the trees and flowers.
Rosie looked up to see a plump frog perched on a lily pad. The frog seemed out of place in such a magical setting, yet there was something comforting about him. He had kind eyes and a smile that crinkled the corners. "I'm Felix," he croaked. "What's your name?" His voice was gentle, and Rosie felt her fear begin to melt away. "Rosie," she whispered, her fear ebbing away. She had always been shy, but something about Felix made her feel brave. "I'm looking for peace. I've heard stories of Aurora and this garden." Her voice was soft, but there was a determination in her eyes.
Felix nodded wisely. "Ah, Aurora. She is the heart of this garden. Her magic is in every leaf, every petal, every whisper of the wind." He paused as if considering his next words carefully. "Aurora's magic is ancient and powerful. It has the ability to heal and bring peace to those who seek it, but it is also delicate and must be respected." Felix's voice was filled with reverence as he spoke of Aurora. Rosie listened intently, her curiosity piqued. "Can you show me where to find Aurora?" she asked, her voice filled with hope. Felix smiled and nodded. "Follow me," he said, hopping off the lily pad and leading Rosie down a path lined with glowing flowers. The garden seemed to come alive around them with every step they took. As they walked, Rosie marveled at the wonders of the garden. They encountered fireflies that danced in the air, and plants that whispered secrets to each other. It was a place of pure enchantment. With each step, Rosie felt a sense of peace and belonging that she had never felt before. The garden was not just a place, it was a feeling, a state of mind. Finally, they reached a clearing with a glowing tree at its center. "This is where Aurora's magic is strongest," Felix said, his voice filled with awe. Rosie reached out and touched the tree, feeling a surge of magic flow through her. It was as if the garden itself was welcoming her, embracing her with its warmth and light. She looked at Felix, and they shared a moment of understanding and friendship. In that moment, Rosie knew that she had found what she was looking for. The garden had given her the peace she sought, and a friend to share it with. The garden glowed with magic as Rosie and Felix stood together, knowing that they had both found something special in each other and in the magical world around them. Long ago, Felix began, his voice a low rumble. This garden was like any other. But Aurora, a spirit of light and kindness, saw its potential. She poured her love into the earth, whispering to the seeds, coaxing the flowers to bloom brighter. She taught the animals to live in harmony, sharing the garden's bounty. Aurora's magic is why the Twilight Garden is so special, Felix finished. It is a sanctuary, a place where worries fade and hearts find solace.
Rosie, her heart full of wonder, followed Felix deeper into the garden.
Fireflies danced around them, their light painting streaks of gold against the darkening sky. The air was filled with the gentle sounds of nature, the chirping of crickets, the rustling of leaves, the soft hooting of an owl settling for the night.
Rosie felt a wave of peace wash over her. She snuggled down on a bed of soft moss, the scent of honeysuckle lulling her towards sleep. Above, the first stars twinkled, a promise of rest.
Close your eyes. Imagine yourself in the Twilight Garden. Feel the soft grass beneath you, the gentle breeze on your skin. Breathe in the sweet scent of flowers. Listen to the symphony of nature, the chirping crickets, the rustling leaves, the whisper of the wind. Let the magic of the garden wash over you, calming your mind and soothing your soul. The Twilight Garden welcomes you. Here worries fade and peace reigns. Welcome home.